All right. Can you see me and hear me? What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Financial Church. Let me see here. Let me get us started on Instagram real quick. Live. I believe this will work. Whoops. What's going on, everybody? 1 second. Discard. Uh-oh. There we go. All right, cool. Welcome, everybody. I hope you are well. Happy to have you here at the Financial Church for this Sunday. Josephine said, I'm blessed and highly favored. What's going on? And Jeanette, Frenchie, Gwen, Teresa, Miss Anne Murray. Folks joining us on Instagram. Welcome, everybody, to the Financial Church. If you are on IG, let me type this in really quick. If you're on IG, you want to jump over to juliangordon.com/TFC. And I'm going to pin that. You want to join us live. And I'm excited that you are all here today. Y'all know what day it is, right? You know what we do on this week of the month. Anybody know what we do on this week of the month? Anybody know what we do on this week of the month? Who knows? Finances. Yep, we do our financial reporting just like companies do. We take a pulse on our balance sheet and our income statement from the past 30 days. We do this on the closest Sunday to the first of the month. We do this on the closest Sunday to the first of the month. Every other week we have a treaching. But we have to keep a pulse. As we know, we are experiencing some interesting times in the wake of the death of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. The only way that we're going to get free in this country is one, spiritually. That's why we are here, and two, financially. This is why we bring financial spirituality together into one. We see money as stored energy. We see it as spiritual energy that we can use and deploy. But guess what? We also are fully aware that money is not the only form of energy that there is. And we, primarily as people of color who are here, we know that we are the most spiritual people on the face of this earth. We were here first, just historically. And as a result, we are the older sibling, and we are closest to the father and mother. And it is time to reclaim our inheritance as the first. It says the first shall be last and the last shall be first. We've fallen into last, and now it's time for us to step back into first and start guiding the world in the way that is in alignment with the father and mother will. Okay, this is our responsibility as the older siblings. Sometimes older siblings fall off, and that's okay. We see it over and over in the Bible. We see stories of that, okay, where the older sibling fell off, right, or the younger sibling took over, etc. Now it's time to step back into our power. So this is not a material battle that we are fighting, y'all. This is not a material battle. I want everyone to be clear on that. We can fight all we want on the ground, but this is actually spiritual and mental. Racism is a mental disease, all right? And it is not our disease to fight. That is for our white brothers and sisters to address those who are in their family, because those who are infected with racism cannot hear it from us. This is their battle to fight. This is their walk. This is their cross to bear. All right? So while it is important for us to physically show up to do our part, this is not our battle, y'all. And that's part of being able to move forward. This is debt that they have to pay. It likely won't come to us in terms of reparations or anything like that, but this is debt that they have to pay for the actions of their ancestors that they still benefit from today. Now, there'll be some who tell you, well, I can't trace it back to my ancestors. My people didn't come over till such and such and such and such. But if you are still benefiting, which is called white privilege, if you are still benefiting from the atrocities that happened over the past 400 years in this country, then you are complicit and you are part of the problem. So we will let them fight the fight, okay? Because obviously we've seen over and over and over again that marching, rioting, and even boycotting has not been effective. Or even voting has not been effective, okay? So we have to try a new way and a new approach. And so we are going to the spiritual realm. And one way that we access that spiritual realm is through financial spirituality and is having direct connection with our creator. Remember, true wealth is not about amassing a whole bunch of paper money. That's their paper money. That is their faces on that money. Okay, that is not our face. We know it is just stored energy. True wealth consciousness is being able to walk on the face of this earth, knowing that all our needs will be met by our Mother, Father, God. Yes, it can come in the form of money, but true wealth is knowing, just like air, that all of our needs will be met. When I think about my ancestors and how they made it through slavery, somehow, some way, all their needs were met. Now, some will say, oh, well, that was a Christian God who betrayed you. They used the Bible, things of that nature. That was a misinterpretation of the text. That was a misinterpretation of the text. And you always reap what you sow. It's universal law. You always reap what you sow. It is universal law. And so what we are experiencing is oppressive people. Okay, I like to categorize it all as white. Okay, we're experiencing oppressive people or oppressive country as a whole, reaping what it is sown. It's universal law, and so all we can do now is plant new seeds. All we can do now is plant new seeds. I actually believe that there are more good white people than there are who are infected. Okay, notice I do not call people who are racist bad people. They are still God's children. They are still God's children. But they have a disconnect. They have a disconnect for whatever reason. I can't explain it. They have a disconnect. They feel in some way that the Father, Mother, God has betrayed them, and therefore they have to create a way to put themselves above, put other people down, and put themselves above. Nobody is above or below anyone in God's mind. Nobody, no person is above or below anyone in God's mind. The problem is that when you have a perspective or a lens or a mindset of racism, you start creating hierarchies. So when we talk about the tree of knowledge of good and evil in Genesis, that tree is just a tree of duality. It is somebody now saying, I know what's right and I know what's wrong. And the moment that one person believes that they know what's right and they know what's wrong, all of a sudden somebody else has a different opinion. And what do? We have a clash. We have now created separation and we're moving away from oneness. At the end of the day, we are all children of God. All of us. And for everybody who is here of African descent, I am fully aware that my identity as a child of God supersedes my identity as a man and my identity as a person of African descent. It is above. It is first. When I introduce myself now, I say first and foremost, I am a child of God. And there are other important pieces of my identity, but nothing transcends that. Nothing. Okay? So in this moment, we need to ask ourselves, how does God see this situation? And I had some insight today, a divine download. It said, when there's a cancer in the body, the entire immune system goes to defend the body. You know, people talk about the body of Christ and the church is the body of Christ, etc. When there is a cancer in the body, a sickness, an illness, a dis-ease in the body, the entire immune system goes to war to defend the body. So what you were seeing is literally the entire immune system, which is the collective consciousness, the righteousness that is within who we truly are, going to defend the entire body, known as the United States of America. So what is happening, what is occurring is natural. The immune system does not just isolate one single cell and say, let's go get that one single cell. While that may be as very efficient, the immune system does not isolate one single cell. The entire immune system goes on alert and says there's a threat, there's a disease that we've allowed to arise through our external unhealthy behavior, which is now transpiring internally. And now we have to attack it. And what happens? When you were sick, your whole body is out. You laid out in the bed, coronavirus, hospital, ventilators, etc. That is what is happening. As above, so below. As within, so without. That is exactly what is happening. This is a natural part of the process. There is nothing to stop. There is nothing to push against. This has to occur as it is happening. And then when the immune system actually starts to take control, right? And when we start moving back, where do we start moving towards, y'all? Where does our body start moving back towards? Health. Health. Wellness. Wealth. WELL-TH. So we have a challenge, which is to be here present in the moment and accept what is occurring, not to push against it, while also simultaneously holding a better vision for our individual lives, for our family lives, and for our collective lives. This is part of the journey, y'all. This actually means that we are improving. And it takes moments like this for people to wake up, for consciousness to arise. Why? I don't know. Many of you know that my consciousness started to elevate after I got held up at gunpoint for a car that I bought at the age of 18. Why did I have to go through that traumatic near-death experience to wake up? Because the programming to stay within our base self is very strong. From 0 to 7 in particular, but from 0 to 18, the programming from teachers, preachers, police, media, parents, religion is really, really strong. And we have to be shaken out of our slumber. We have to be shaken out of our slumber and out of our blindness in order to awaken, to see the truth. So I wish there was another way. Every time I speak to you, every event I create, every curriculum I put out, my hope is that it awakens folks. Every post that I put out, I hope to awaken folks so that nobody has to go through what I went through, a near-death experience, to come to the realization that we are more than just the body, that these labels and identities that we've taken on are lower forms of who we truly are. They're part of who we are, and I accept them as such, but they're lower forms of who we are, but that we are eternal spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. When you know that you are an eternal spiritual being and that this flesh is temporary, then what are we talking about when we're talking about black versus white? What are we talking about? This is temporary. Why am I going to talk about something that is temporary? This will be here and it will go. We're trying to stay in tune, in touch, in alignment with our spiritual self. This is not to negate what has happened We honor the life of George Floyd. But guess what, y'all? Whether it's George Floyd, whether it's Ahmaud Arbery, whether it's Breonna Taylor, whether it's Nipsey Hussle, whether it's Malcolm X, whether it's Martin Luther King, they are living eternally now because we remember them. They are having more impact now because they transitioned into spirit than they actually had in the body. Their impact is bigger now that they've fully transitioned into spirit than they had while in the body. You didn't know who George Floyd was a week ago? Oh, but you know his name now. You know his name now. God works in mysterious ways, y'all. God works in mysterious ways. We, using these two eyes, oftentimes can't see with our third eye, our first eye, God's eye. Here's how we know. This is what woke me up to this. I was watching, I think, Akilah the Bee with my daughter. And in that cartoon movie, this bee is getting mad, I think, at the other bees for stealing pollen from the flowers, right? And so this bee tries to stop these other bees from stealing pollen from the flower. And this bee is successful at doing so. So from this lens, from this lowly human perspective, we see a bee stealing something from a flower. We see a bee stealing something from a flower. That's theft. When we can only see that isolated moment. But when you see it from a God's eye view, it's not until then that you recognize that that bee is not stealing from the flower. That bee is actually taking from that flower and facilitating the pollination process, which is actually necessary for all life on earth. So when you hear the scripture, lean not on thy own understanding, this does not mean do not seek. This does not mean do not research. This does not mean do not ask questions. That's how preachers will lead you to believe. That is not what it means. It means do not lean on thy own human understanding and just seek to understand from your God's eye view. How does God see this situation? How does God see George Floyd? How does God see the officer? How does God see the riots? How does God see you? I don't care what anybody else thinks about you. The only thing I care about and the only thing you should care about is how does God see you in this moment? I don't care what happened to you in your past. I do care what happened to you in your past, but at the same time, I don't care. Because the question is, how does God see you? God sees you as perfect, whole, and complete. The problem is that we don't see each other as perfect, whole, and complete. We don't have the same love, the agape love for each other, the way God, the Father, Mother has for us. When my daughter messes up, when she makes a mistake, when she does something that is out of my will, I love her just the same, though I do have to discipline her in that moment. But my love has not changed one bit. And when she corrects herself, no, I won't even say my love increases. My love is the same. It is unconditional. And do you think that I am able to love better than God loves us? No. I aspire to love like God. My daughter is the best example of my ability to do that and the best practice of my ability to do that. So there looks like chaos. It looks like chaos. You remember that Jesus was in the boat and there was a storm, and all the disciples that were in the boat, they were like, why is he sleeping? Why is he sleeping? Jesus is not worried. Jesus is not worried. We have to trust that God is in control and God knows what it is doing. When you look at circumstances and you base your emotional compass, your frequency off of circumstances, you will be on a roller coaster ride. Now, don't get me wrong. Yo, I was angry. I was angry. I had to take some time away and just cut everything off. That is the animalistic based self tapping in. And it's human, it's natural. But ultimately, we have to elevate. Because as Einstein said, you can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that the problem was created. You cannot solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that it was created at. Something along those lines. So it is for all of us to do this work. Some of you, myself included, because of my little one, I cannot be on the front lines right now. But guess what? We still have work. You being here at Financial Church today, you are doing your work. It may look indirect. You may wish that you could be out there, but we have to know what our role is based on our stage of life. The youth, they have the energy. Some people older than them may have the money. And then the elders may have the wisdom. We have to find out what our role is. As long as you can go to sleep at night knowing that you poured love into the world, that you put good into the world, that you are continuing to plant good seeds that you know you will eventually reap, then be at peace. I know where your heart is, and we know scripture says, wherever your heart is, that's where your treasure is, or the other way around. Wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is. I know where your heart is. You know where your heart is. Okay? Now, we're not going to sit passively on the sidelines because faith without works is dead. In fact, we redirected some of our monies from last week from the faith fund. We redirected it to the defense fund for anyone who gets arrested. For anyone who gets arrested, we are contributing to that fund to make sure that they can have their legal fees covered. Okay? So we are taking this stored energy called money, and we are putting it in a way that is supporting those who are capable of being on the front lines at this moment in time. Those who are youth, those who are single, those who may be unemployed. Okay? This is how energy works. But then, of course, we have our most powerful source of energy, which is our spirituality. It was Jesus' most powerful form of energy. This is spirituality. And guess what, y'all? Practice is over. We actually have to apply it now. Practice is over. It's game time. We have to manifest and create a new reality, heaven on earth, with our minds followed by our actions. All right? Y'all with me? It's interesting times. This is not a time for us to go into hiding. This is a time for us to really do our work. Our work that we do here on Sundays, it's intangible, but we know that it has tangible implications. Our work is intangible, but it has tangible implications. Somebody who's on the front lines may be like, why you ain't out there? You ain't out here doing it like me. I've been out there. I was out there till 3 a.m. I had tear gas. Okay. I'm doing my work. I'm doing work, and I'm working on behalf of good. I'm working on behalf of God. I'm working on behalf of righteousness right here and right now. Right? What we saw were seeds that were planted and have been planted over the past 400 years. They're all going to come to fruition, y'all. All the seeds that have been planted over the past 400 years, they are all going to come to fruition. They have to. All right? All we can do is plant new, good seeds. There's no reverse racism. There's no uprooting the past. The past is done. When you look into the past, right, you turn into a pillar of salt. There's nothing we can do about the past, y'all. There's nothing we can do about the past. There's no government that I'm going to lean on. There's no institution that I'm going to lean on. Only thing we lean on is God. That's from where we derive our faith. And there are things that are put into our material experience in terms of people and resources and things of that nature that support us in doing God's work. And that's what we use. If God be for us, then who can be against us? There are many people who are out of alignment with the Creator, but they believe that they are in alignment. That is the mental illness. Remember, the word devil is lived backwards. There are a lot of people who are living backwards. They have a misunderstanding of who they are and who God is in them. All right? They've already stole many Black men and Black women's joy. We cannot let them steal our joy as well. That would be a double loss. That would be a double loss. I'm not asking you to cover up what you feel with a smile. That's not what I'm saying. I'm encouraging you and inviting you to believe that all things are working together for our good. It doesn't say some things are working together for our good. It says all things are working together for our good. So in some way, somehow, this must be working together for our good. When a woman gives birth, she must go through pain. Unless you got a great doula, right? Unless you got a great doula. You got a great doula, you good. You ain't even got to go through pain. When a child is becoming mature, they go through growing pains, emotionally, physically, right? It's part of the process, y'all. Nobody said that this would be pain-free experience. Now, the Buddha will go as far as to say to live is to suffer. I don't fully agree with that. And I believe that the Buddha was a very wise being. I don't fully agree with to live is to suffer. Do I believe that there is some suffering in living? Yes. I believe that there's some suffering in living, but I don't look at suffering as negative. I don't look at suffering as negative. I see it as part of the process. You don't think Michael Jordan suffered? You don't think Michael Jordan went through some pain to become the greatest basketball player ever? So when I say ease is more about being in alignment. I'm not saying that because one of the language patterns that we cancel out here in financial church is the struggle is real. We don't subscribe to that here. We don't use that language. The struggle is real. Nah, we don't buy into that. But struggle is actually necessary in order for us to grow. There's different types of struggle. In the past few weeks, I've had two types of stress in my body, and I was not able to identify which type of stress I was enduring. One stress is stress where you are pushing against what is. You wish it would be some other way, and so you feel the stress, like in your shoulders or something. In chat, let me know, where do you feel stress in your body? Where do you feel stress in your body? Type it in the chat. Velma, I'm going to get to that in just a second. Frenchie says chest and arms, shoulders, stomach, back, knees, head, back. Okay, good. Here's the challenge. for those of us who are growth oriented, you may be experiencing the stress, which is pushing against or resisting what actually is in your life. And that is the unhealthy stress that causes worry. Okay. But then there's another stress that you also experience from seeking to grow. And when those two things both converge in your body, you may not fully be aware of which stress you're actually experiencing in that moment. Perhaps those two types of stress show up differently for you in different ways. If that is, and you're able to make that distinction, that's great. But I recognize that only a small portion was actually the stress of pushing against what is. 90% of it was stress of seeking to grow. 90% of it was stress from seeking to grow, from putting out visions and images and words like the Buy Back Baton Rouge Fund. That's challenging me in ways that I've never been challenged before. And I had a healthy stress as a result of this. When you go to the weight room, you are engaging in healthy stress because you are choosing to intentionally put stress on yourself in order to grow. When you wait passively for growth, when you wait for life will always push you to grow. The question is, are you actually going to go face the growth head on and actually choose the growth, or are you going to wait for it to happen? When you wait for it to happen, it actually comes at an unwanted time. When I was waiting to grow, that's when I got held up at gunpoint. The universe said, it's time for you to grow. You are in too small of a container than I have intended for you. I'm going to create chaos in your life. I'm going to create loss in your life. I'm going to create challenge in your life to get you out of your comfort zone. Right? So as Velma said, story of the butterfly. There was a man walking down the path, and he saw a butterfly in his cocoon. And the man felt sympathy for the butterfly because the butterfly was struggling, saw the cocoon moving and the butterfly couldn't get out, etc. And so the man actually took the butterfly and the cocoon down, sliced the cocoon open, hoping that doing so would free the butterfly so that it could ultimately fly. After cutting the cocoon open and holding the butterfly in his hand, he realized that the butterfly actually wasn't going anywhere and he couldn't understand why. So he took the butterfly to a butterfly doctor, and the butterfly doctor said to him, what did you do? He said, well, I saw this butterfly and it was hanging from the tree and I saw it struggling to get out of its cocoon, so I decided to help. And the doctor turned to him and he said, that is the worst thing that you could have done. By saving the butterfly and cutting open the cocoon, you actually robbed the butterfly of the struggle that it needed to push against the cocoon to strengthen its wings so that it could fly. This butterfly will never be able to fly because you got in the way of its struggle. You thought you were helping. You thought you were saving the butterfly. You thought you were accelerating the process, and you've actually derailed it. So there is a necessary amount of struggle that we need in our life, not the struggle like, the struggle is real, not that kind of struggle. A type of resistance, which is the right language given these times. There's a certain amount of resistance that we need in our lives in order to develop the muscles physically, emotionally, spiritually, internally, so that we can thrive in the next evolution of who we're becoming. So anything that has happened to you in the past that you've perceived as negative was, if you look at it in hindsight and from a God's eye view, you will see that it was simply there to prepare you for who you were becoming in your next evolution and metamorphosis. So if you know that, then you never look at anything negatively. You accept it and say, ooh, this is a lot of weight that I got to push, but it must be happening for me. So last week, I was going to share with you how I perceive challenges in life. And Then we had George Floyd. And so I think now is appropriate. Here's how I perceive challenges for us as spiritual beings. Before we came here, we were all in the spiritual realm. George Floyd is in the spiritual realm right now. And we were the chosen ones, or we chose ourselves. And we said, I'd like to go have that experience called Earth. Just like choosing a ride at a amusement park or a video game, right? And in that situation, in that moment, we started creating an obstacle course for ourselves. We created an obstacle course for ourselves called life. Okay. And in this obstacle course, we made some pits that were very deep. We made some mountains that were extremely hard to climb. We made rain. We made slavery. We made jails. We made a whole bunch of obstacles, institutional obstacles, financial obstacles. We made all these obstacles to what? Facilitate our growth and remind us of who we are. Now, the agreement was when we go through the birth canal, we will actually forget that we are the ones that created the obstacle course. When we go through the birth canal, we forget that we are the ones that created the obstacle course. Just like a computer programmer, I created and coded this game, and now I'm going to go be a player in the game that I coded and created. So we come out of the birth canal as an infant child, and we start experiencing these obstacles. And if we, even if what I'm saying is not true, but I know it's already resonating with many of you, now when you approach an obstacle, you approach it knowing, I put this obstacle here. Why would I put this obstacle here? It must be here to facilitate my growth. This obstacle is not against me. It is actually for me to facilitate my growth. So let me approach it with that mindset, not with the mindset of why me, not with the mindset of the devil is a lie, not with the mindset of something or someone is against me. There is nothing against you. All things are working together for your good. This is how I approach challenges in life. Even if it's not true, I accept that I created them. I accept that I created them in the spiritual realm before I got here, and now I'm experiencing what I coded and programmed and created. Only because I knew that that pit had to be that low in order for me to grow. Only because I knew that that mountain had to be that high for me to actually maximize my growth. And people of African descent, people who have descended from the transatlantic slave trade, what we all said is we want to take the hardest level. The other levels were too easy. The other levels were too easy. So in my game, strip me of my family, strip me of my land. Let me start the game with absolutely no wealth whatsoever. Strip me of my original language, strip me of my cultural identity, put me in a terrible school system. In fact, put me in a family with a single mother in the hood, put me in a place where there's no nutrition, put me in a place where I have all these enemies who are actually against me, trying to stop me from succeeding. But the only thing that I need is my creativity. My creativity is the substance that I get from my creator. And let me go into this game and see if I can win now. Take my body, take my history, steal all of my ancestors' accomplishments. Let me start the game there and see if I can win. You recognize how much strength your spirit had to have to accept that as the starting point, we are just playing the hardest level. And the reason we're playing the hardest level is because if you believe in reincarnation or not, it would presume that you've already beat the easier levels. And in a video game, when there are zombies jumping out of the corners and people shooting at you, do you perceive them as your enemies? In a video game, when there are zombies and people shooting at you and obstacles and Mario Brothers and things of that nature, do you perceive them as your enemy? No, they're just part of your journey. They're just mere obstacles. I don't take it personal. There's nothing to take personal. You realize that if people of color weren't here, that white people would still be killing each other. If we want to talk about black on black crime, let's talk about white on white crime. And let's look at World War I and World War II. 85 million deaths, 3% of the population, 40 million deaths. That was white on white crime, y'all. So this is actually not personal. For some reason, which I do not know the answer to, this is part of who they are. They would be killing even if we weren't here. We just happen to be easier targets because we are distinct in terms of our skin color. So there's nothing to take personal. Is it sad? Yeah. Do I pray for the recovery of their mental health? Yes. Because this is a disease. It's a mental health. My mom, she deals with mental health. Many of us have people in our families who deal with mental health. There's no easy, fast, quick solution. Some of them were programmed into it. Some of them were born with it. Guess what? As hard as this sounds, still children of God. They're still children of God. And this is not on some turn your other cheek type ish. No, I'm not talking about that. But from a God's eye view, still children of God. If we love life, sometimes we have to defend it from death. All right? Each one of you is extremely valuable to God's plan. Each one of you. George Floyd is obviously extremely valuable to God's plan. But as I said earlier, his spirit is doing more work now than his body or his flesh could have ever done. All right? Yeah, we are children of God too. And there has to be an equal recognition. There has to be an equal recognition. We do it in our families. Some of y'all at war with your own siblings right now. Some of y'all beefing with your own siblings. Oh, mama loved you more. You stole my bike when we were 3. Some of y'all beefing with your own siblings right now. So if this is actually your blood and your flesh sibling, how much harder will it be when it's not directly your blood and your flesh? Okay. So this is a journey for us all to continue to practice unconditional love. And that joint is not easy. How do we love like God? How do we love like God? Yep. So our prayer here, the simplest prayer is be me, God. Be me, God. Of course, we believe in the affirmation, I am God, but sometimes we're not always able to rest in that I am God. Where our consciousness isn't there in a given moment. Okay. And even Jesus, his consciousness fluctuated. Okay. From not my will, but thine will. Like, God, take this cup from me. Okay. There was separation there. Okay. But then there's other moments when he's like, I and the Father are one. So even Jesus, throughout the Gospels, his consciousness and awareness of I am God and I'm not God, it fluctuates. So when we pray, be me, God, It's saying, look, I know this persona, this personality, this entity that I call me is in the way of you having your will. And so I'm ready to release the will, not only the driving will, but my will. I'm ready to release the will and allow your will to be done, thine will to be done. So I'm ready to get out of the way, use me as an instrument, as a vehicle, and just be me, God. I don't care what you do. You just be me. I will follow your lead. Take full control as if this is a video game. In a video game, when you're playing what is it? What is it called? First user person video game where you're the actual character. You are being the character. You are saying, God, take the control and just use me in this experience called Earth. Use me in this material realm. Take the control. I'm giving you the control. I've tried to control it for a long time, and I've been doing mediocre doing it that way. So God, be me, take the control, and just tell me what to do. Up, down, left, right, A, B, start. How many of y'all remember Contra? How many of y'all remember Contra? Up, down, left, right, A, B, start. Y'all remember that one? All right. Be me, God. So I had no intention to share that, y'all, but the times have called for it. Yeah. All right. So I want to just take a deep breath. We're still going to run through our balance sheet. We'll do our balance sheet today, and then I'll leave the cash flow statement up to you. For those of you joining us, we went straight in, y'all. I didn't even do a welcome, nothing. If you were a vet, please type vet. If you were new in chat, please type new. So we got a lot of vets here. Ooh, a lot of vets. Okay, we got some new folks. Okay, good. We got a lot of vets here. So you already know what's up. So go ahead and get your financial documents open. And I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to go through it. I know I just spent 45 minutes talking about that, but it was on my heart, and it is relevant because we aren't just building our wealth consciousness for nothing. We are building our wealth consciousness to be free of oppression, free in order to live out our purpose. And it is all connected. It is all connected. All right. So let me share my screen with y'all. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, please join us on Zoom by going to juliangordon.com/Zoom. And I'm sharing my screen now. And okay, I want to welcome everybody to the Financial Church. 45 minutes in. And I appreciate you and celebrate you. Thank you for being here, for being here to work on your spirituality when your base self and your flesh might be calling you to move in a different way, given the times that we're living in. Normally we have a teaching where I teach on financial spirituality directly, but on the closest Sunday to the first of the month, we actually do our accounting, meaning that we go look at our current net worth and we look at our cash flow or income from the previous month. And so that's what we're going to do today. So we do that every 4 weeks. The questions that we're seeking to answer is, am I being a good steward of the money that I do have? We're not worried about the money that we don't have. We know that more money will flow into our lives when we're actually good stewards of the money that we currently do have. And if we aren't being good stewards, then we ask ourselves, we don't judge ourselves. We simply ask, how can I improve? How can I improve? It's that simple. Okay. So, what is financial spirituality? For those who don't know, those who are new, financial spirituality is the practice of mastering manifestation and money by learning how God creates and using the power of your mind, image, or imagination, prayers, words, and works to bring heaven, which is in the mind, on earth, the material experience, so that we may have life and have it more abundantly. We must already know that we are all already manifesting The question is, are we actually deliberately creating, and are we creating the experience that we desire? Okay. And collectively, obviously, we have not created the experience that we desire, and we don't judge ourselves for that. All we do is go back and plant new. No, we don't go back. We simply just plant new seeds. We plant new seeds and we take care of them. We guard in them. And for those of you who don't understand the word gardener, what I mean by that is we guard, Guard hyphen inner, Inner. We are guarding our inner. Okay? So when we plant a belief into our mind, we hope with enough time and energy that it actually goes into our subconscious, where then it can take root, and we guard our inner from outward doubt, fear, and worry that may uproot that belief, that image, that word that we've spoken. We know that our word shall never return void. We know that our word shall never return void, that thoughts turn to things. And so if we can hold the belief long enough and give the creator enough time, actually the creator doesn't need time. If we can give the creator and demonstrate enough faith, it actually has nothing to do with time, y'all. Manifestation has nothing to do with time. Time is man-made. If we can demonstrate enough faith in that which we are seeking to create, the creator will move on our behalf. The only thing that needs time is sometimes our belief needs time. But the creator doesn't operate on time, y'all. The creator does not operate on time. It is purely faith. It is done unto you as you believe. Ask and it is given. It does not say ask and wait and then it is given. It does not say ask and then wait and then it is given. If you ask in full faith, it is already underway and working its way to you. The question is, will you allow your own fear, doubt, worry, and lack of belief to uproot that which you say you want for yourself? We actually have to move beyond believing, and we have to get to knowing. We know that we are children of God. We know that abundance is our birthright. When you know something, you move with no doubt. Believing, they're still like, oh, it's a little doubt here. I believe it, but I don't see no results yet. We know our identity as children of God. We know that we come from an abundant source. And therefore, we know that we are wealthy here and now, to the degree that we are aware of it, of our identity as children of God, and to the degree that we are ready to receive. Many people who are here are great givers. Give. And that is a great thing. But in order to continually give, we must equally receive. In order to continually give and to give sustainably, we must equally develop the skill set of being able to receive. And that's what many people's work here is working on their ability to receive so that they can be better givers. Okay. So given that we have so many vets here today, I'm going to save some of the opening. Of course, our definition of financial spirituality is key. I will share this, and I actually encourage, we're going to do our breath. Because we know that Spirit said, then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils in the breath of life, and man became a living being. This is actually so key because, of course, the narrative is that I can't breathe. We can't breathe. We can breathe. And it's only through breathing that we can access our Creator. It is the easiest way. And that's not only through breathing, but we must be breathing in order to access our Creator. It is the easiest way for our access to Creator. When you cut off somebody's lungs from the outside world, obviously you end up with a situation where they actually go back to the Creator and the body is no longer breathing. So given that George Floyd could not breathe, and in the last few moments, we are all going to inhale deeply 3 times, deeply. We're going to inhale as if we were George Floyd in those last moments. Inhale. Inhale on 3 seconds. Hold. Release. One more. Inhale for 3 seconds. Pause. Release. We know that access to the breath is our access to God, that we are instruments and we are being breathed through, with the exception of suicide, the exception of coronavirus, which is a respiratory disease or a respiratory disease, with the exception of a police officer with their knee on your neck. Most of us never worry about our next breath. Why? Because we are not in control of the breath. We are being breathed through by some other entity, which we call God. And so anytime you feel disconnected from God, you can simply breathe. Put all your worries to the side, put your to-do list to the side, just be still and observe your breath. So that means that you are still connected to source. That means that you still have a purpose. It means that you still have work to do here on earth. And the moment you stop breathing, guess what? You go directly back to source. So there's still no disconnection. The officer thought they were disconnecting George Floyd from God or life. George Floyd is sitting next to the Father on the throne. George Floyd is right next to the Father, Mother on the throne now. George Floyd is closer to God than George Floyd has ever been prior to birth. You cannot disconnect a child of God from God. There is always a lineage. If you feel disconnected in such a way where you're going to take an action that seeks to disconnect someone else, you're wrong. And so the breath is our way to be reminded that we still have work to do here in this realm, in this space. Who knows what it is on another planet or in another dimension? Perhaps it's not oxygen. Perhaps there's some other way that those beings connect with God. But here on Earth, we know it's oxygen. We plug in our cell phones every day to make sure that they're charged. And it's important that we take breath to reconnect and recharge with our source. For Instagram, it's going to end in just a second. I'm going to restart it. So give me 1 second. We're going to end right now and I'm going to restart it. Thank you all for giving me that moment. Let's see, I need to, come on. Keep breathing, y'all. All right, we are good to go on IG. Okay, cool. So, wealth, true wealth consciousness as we define it here, is it's not a monetary number, okay? Money is one way that it may manifest, but we know that true wealth consciousness is when we have the same relationship to money as we do air. When we have the same relationship to money as we do air, we are in a space of wealth consciousness, okay? We don't worry about our next breath, but we stay worried about where that next dollar is coming from. And so this is a high calling. It is not easy to get here. And this is why we do our work every single week to try to get to a space of wealth consciousness. Jesus was at a level of wealth consciousness. So much so that he didn't even need to carry anything materially because he knew that he could manifest instantaneously. He knew that whatever he needed in a moment, that it would be provided by the Father, Mother, God. Right? So this is a high calling and it is our work. And at this moment in time in history, we won't be able to compete through voting. We won't be able to compete through force or guns. But where we can compete is with God on our side. If you want to put me in a race to row across the Pacific Ocean, and it's a rowing race, I'm not even going to take a row. Instead, I'm going to take a sail. You didn't say there was no sails. I'm going to tap in to a more powerful, sustainable source than my own doing. What did Jesus say? Of myself, I can do nothing. The Father doeth all the works. So if you want to race me in a rowing race, and we're trying to get across the Pacific Ocean, you can put rows on my boat, but you won't see me doing a lot of rowing. Instead, I'm going to try to align with a force that's more powerful than man, which is the wind, which comes from Mother Nature, which is God. That is how we have to compete. Compete is the wrong word. That is the way we have to create. That is the only way we will outcreate. If we try to outcreate what has occurred through manpower, we will consistently lose. We have to create in a new way, in a higher way, in a spiritual way. And people won't understand it. How'd that happen? Where'd that come from? How'd they do that? Oh, it's intangible that we make it tangible. You are only operating, and others, our adversaries, our siblings, who, for whatever reason, have turned against us, they operate on the tangible level. They even put properties over people. Even a fireman knows when a building is burning and there's somebody in the building, what do the firemen do? What do the firemen do? When a building is burning, there's somebody in the building, what do? They focus on the person, not the building. They're equipped to put out the fire from the building, but they're not focused on the building when they show up. They focus on the person because they know that the human life is more valuable than the building. But you have people who are saying, oh, what about the properties that are being burned down? Hopefully all the properties are insured. Don't talk about the properties when you haven't talked about the person who actually lost their life. Did you know that George Floyd's life is more valuable than every single piece of property in Minneapolis? That's hard for some people to conceive. People of African descent, we didn't define property in the same way. People of Native Americans, we didn't define property in the same way. So when you come as an outsider into our lands and you say, I'd like to have this property, we don't even hear you because that's a foreign concept to us. We didn't see the earth as ours. This wasn't mine. I didn't put up a wall here. But if you go off to Europe, you see all these castles with moats and things of that nature because there was this fear, for whatever reason, of something coming outside, from outside and taking. We didn't live like that. We didn't put gates up around things. But now we are living in their paradigm, and so we have to reclaim Mother Earth. And I don't say Mother Earth as in God is the Father and Mother is the Earth, because Earth is really small in the context of this universal creation. This is why we say Mother, Father, God. To just call Mother Earth and then Father God, those two things are incomparable. That's cheating. Okay? So we put people over property. People over properties, always. Okay? So before we get into our balance sheet, we are going to do our affirmation. Should I do it? How many people are new? Type new again if you're new, because we got to do this. Type new if you're new. If you're new, type new. I won't do it if it's not enough new people here. All right, it's not enough new people today. We'll do it next time. All right, we'll do it next time. But our affirmation, it's our trick question, y'all. Y'all know our trick question. But our affirmation before we do this exercise is, I am a millionaire. And we have to come into the awareness that you must become a multimillionaire. Why? Because you first become a millionaire in your mind, and then you become one with your money. We all that are here must become multimillionaires, first in our mind and then with our money. If you do not become a millionaire in your mind first, then you will never be one with money. Okay? So for those of you who are new, if I'm a millionaire, is my daughter a millionaire? If I'm a millionaire, is my daughter a millionaire? Yes, 100%, right? So if you are a child of God and you are in God's will, and God is the most infinite source of supply ever, are you a millionaire right now? Yes or no? The logic makes 100% sense when you think about it in that way. Now, your bank account may not reflect that, but your bank account is not a sign of your value or your inheritance. Your bank account is not a reflection of your true value or your inheritance. All it shows is that you have not been ready to receive, and that you have an opportunity to be a better steward of the economic resource that has been given unto you. Mom and dad are not going to give you more if you have not been a good steward over that which you already have been given. That wouldn't make any sense. So once you demonstrate that you can be a good steward of what you do have, then you will see that more will be given unto you. It's that simple. Okay? So we are going to, for the sake of time, I want to skip forward, and I need to bring this to the awareness of everybody who's new before we get into the exercise. For those of you who are new, there are three types of buckets. The first bucket is a bucket that receives and actually loses. So it is a bucket that has holes in it. And this is where you find people calling themselves broke. All right. Now, the second type of bucket is great, and it can receive, but it has no pouring out function. All it does is receive, and then it hoards the resource that has been given. What we ultimately want to become, so that money flows to us and through us easily and infinitely and all the time, is a bucket that actually receives and gives at the same time. Okay? We want to be the last bucket, the one that you use to water plants. And so this is what our intention is. We are being a millionaire is not, oh, I got $1 million stacked in my account. That is not how we work our way to becoming a millionaire. We actually become a millionaire by how frequently we circulate money. We don't spend money here, we circulate money. All right? We circulate money. And true wealth, y'all, is not how much money you have in your bank account the moment you die. That is not the game we are playing. True wealth is how much you gave with the resources that you had along the way. You could have $0 in your bank account when you die. Just like Harriet Tubman, she went for broke. But what she gave along the way with her life, that was her true wealth. She didn't want to store anything up. She didn't have a goal of becoming a millionaire and having $1 million saved in an account. She almost lost her home because she was such a giving spirit. Now, do I believe that somebody like Harriet Tubman should have died in luxury? Yes, I do. I believe she should have went out like a god. The god that she was, I believe that's how she should have went out. But she was such a giving spirit that anytime she received, she gave it out in some sort of way. To fund another trip, to feed another family, whatever it was, she gave. That is true wealth. Not how much green paper I have stacked up on the day that I die. That is not true wealth, y'all. All right? So, what we want to do with our bucket is we want to, one, stop all the leaks that are occurring. If you're on Instagram, please go to juliangordon.com, juliangordon.com/TFC, which stands for The Financial Church. I'm posting it now so that you can follow along with the slides. I'm going to pin it. All right. So join us here on Zoom. All right. So the first thing to increase our wealth is we want to stop all the leaks. Then we want to increase our bucket size. And then we want to increase how much we give. But key thing here, y'all, is that our giving must be proportional to our level of receiving. Our giving must be proportional to our level of receiving. If we do not do that, then we will end up burned out and depleted, and it will stop us from giving. All right? So what we're going to do first is I'm actually going to take somebody else, and I want to show you a path to millionaire right now. Okay? So can I get who wants me to run their numbers for them? Who wants me to run their numbers for them? Who wants me to run their numbers? We call this prophesying your financial future. Anybody want me to run their numbers? I just need 6 numbers from you. Okay, Catherine. All right, Catherine. So, Catherine, so right here we have her salary growth rate. So let's say Catherine is able to get her salary to increase, or her income from her business to increase by 6% per year. Her tax rate and investment rate, meaning how much she is going to invest at each year. Okay, what percentage of her income or her salary she's going to invest, and then her investment return is 15%. Catherine, what is your starting balance? How much you have saved right now? Catherine, how much you have saved right now? She said $35,000. Okay. Catherine, what is your current salary right now? 80. Okay. So watch this over 20 years. Over 20 years. So Catherine, we can see if she just sticks to this plan, okay, over the next 20 years, she would have $2.2 million. So basically, what this is saying is that her starting balance is 35. She has a salary of 80. She invests 15% of that 80 every year. That's 12,000. So we invest first. Then she lives off of 56. Her investment in that 56, the calculation is the 56. Let me double check. It is the 80 minus how much she invests, okay, minus her taxes, okay, at 15%. So she lives off of 56. Her investment ROI every single year is $7,000 or in year one, and her ending balance is 54. Okay, so she takes that 54. Okay, her salary has gone up a little bit. She invests 15% of her salary. She lives off of 59. Then her investment ROI is 10. Now she's at 76. And we can see that if Catherine just simply sticks to this, meaning that she is investing 15% of what she brings in, all right, every year, and she's doing that, for, if she invests 15% at a 15% rate, okay, then she is going to be living pretty large, okay? So let's just say she's not able to get her investments to return at 15%. Let's say they return at 10%. If they return at 10%, she's still a millionaire in 20 years. If she just focuses literally on this, focusing on getting her salary and her income to increase by 6% every single year, at least, to invest 15% of what she brings in, then her taxes are less because she's actually having capital gains tax, she's having capital gains tax as opposed to earned income tax. So her taxes are less. So this is why Warren Buffett pays less tax than his ex-secretary, lower tax rate. And then her investment return is 10%. Okay, she's still at $1.3 million at the end of year 20. Okay, let's say she is able to increase how much she invests off top to 25%. If she's able to increase how much she invests to 25%, and let's say her salary increase or salary growth or her income growth is only 3% per year, she's still at $1.7 million in 20 years. Okay, so this is just math. These are the numbers. How much am I able to grow my income every single year? Okay, what is my tax rate and my rate of investment? What are my investments returning at, right? What is my starting balance right now? And what is my current salary right now? And this is the financial model to help you map out your pathway to becoming a millionaire financially, right? So this is the goal, all right? So what we're gonna do right now is we are going to do our assets and liabilities, and and that equals our net worth. So this is our balance sheet. We have our balance sheet and we have our income statement, okay? Our income statement we'll get to in just a second, but we're gonna start off with our balance sheet. Every month, we wanna make sure that our net worth is actually increasing. If you're on Instagram, join us on Zoom so that you can see the slides, okay? So net worth is assets minus liabilities. So every single month, if you've been working, and perhaps some people are not working as a result of Corona, but guess what? Even if you didn't work, if you had passive income, if you have assets, your income and your net worth still may have gone up in the midst of Corona. That's the ultimate goal, is not to be trading time for money. So what I want everybody to do is, for those of you who are vets, you should have this spreadsheet already open, all right? You should have it already open. And I'm gonna give you some time to go and fill in this month. Okay, you're gonna go in and fill in this month. There should be no Zoom ID. Just go to juliangordon.com/TFC and put your name and information, and it should open. So if you are joining us for the first time, you want to go to juliangordon.com/accounting. All right, juliangordon.com/accounting. It's asking for a Zoom ID. Never had that before. Let me see if I can find one. Live on Facebook. Invite. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find the ID. Optimize live on Facebook. Stop sharing. New share poll. Participants. Invite. Default email. Let me see if this pulls up. Okay, somebody posted it for me. Zoom ID. Okay, I found it. Thank you. Thank you whoever posted that. The Zoom ID, I'm gonna repeat it 3 times. 409 171 218. I'm gonna type it in the chat. 409 171 218. All right, so the Zoom ID is there. Never had that before. Thank you to Jimmy and Ramona for posting that for me. Okay, so again, if you're a vet, go ahead and go forth, and you're gonna fill out next month. Okay, so you're gonna start by putting the month at the top. You're gonna put today's date, which is the 31st, I believe. Okay, I do mine on the 1st of every month, so I'll be doing it tomorrow. But I just want to get you all in the habit. And you're going to start off with your liquid assets, and you want to see if they grew from last month. This is your checking account, your savings accounts, your 401k, your stocks, anything you can turn into cash in your hand within 24 hours. That's a liquid asset. Okay. Then you'll have your long-term assets, which are your home. And for those of you who are single-family buyers, you will want to go to Trulia or Zillow and research what the Z estimate is for your home, or what it says your home's value is as of today. Given that those numbers will likely be different, you can take an average of those two. So if one site says 275, the other says 325, then the average will be 300,000. So you'll put 300,000 as the value of that asset. If you have rental properties, because you're in the multifamily movement and you're buying rental properties, you'll do the same thing for every property. Okay. Then you will go down to your debt, your liability section. Let me show you that. Boom, boom. So you need to open up all your accounts. We will not finish on today's call because of my opening, but it was necessary. You need to open up all your accounts, and I'm serious about this, y'all. You got to do this work. This is how I've been able to stay. Oops, okay. I will take a screenshot of that for next time. Liabilities, student debt, okay, car note, mortgage, medical bills, credit cards, right? You're gonna put in all your liabilities. So again, if you're joining us and you wanna copy the spreadsheet, you go to File, Download, Microsoft Excel version. Okay, File, download Microsoft Excel version. You can use it in Microsoft Excel, or you can upload it to Google Docs and use it there. All right. Let me see if I can share my screen with y'all. New window, accounting. Everybody who's a vet and who's already started this from last month, please go at least knock out your asset portion. A lot of people don't have many different assets at this moment in time. So at least go knock out your asset portion. All right, let me share my screen. And then after we get off, I encourage you to continue with the liability. Share my screen, share, new share. All right, so here's my screen. Oops. Balance sheet. Balance sheet is down here, okay? So assets are checking, savings, 401k, stocks. Long-term is home, any real estate assets. Liabilities are the mortgages on those homes, student loans, um, uh, car notes, credit cards, etc. And that should yield, it should automatically calculate your new net worth as of the past 30 days, how much growth you had in your net worth in terms of percentage, and how much growth you've had year to date since you started doing this work. Okay. I also encourage you to go get your updated credit score. You can use creditkarma.com to get that credit score. That's not 100% accurate, but it's in general somewhere around your actual credit score without running your credit. Okay. And then the next phase is for you to do your income statement. So you look at what was my paycheck this past month. For some of you, it dipped a little bit, but some of you got some one-time pops in terms of stimulus money, okay, etc. Your side hustle, did it bring in any money? Did you have any rental income come in? Okay, so you'll put that in for the month. Then you'll go through all your expenses. Your rent or mortgage, your property taxes, insurance, if those aren't already escrowed, utilities, power, trash, cell phone, internet, entertainment, groceries, restaurants. Hopefully a lot of people's restaurants bills went down this month, but grocery bills probably definitely went up, as well as utility bills. Car maintenance probably went down. Car note, you still got to pay that even if you're not using it. Car insurance, still got to pay that. Gas probably went down for folks. Personal flights, any public transportation probably went down, right? The credit cards and student debt information will get automatically transferred over from your balance sheet, okay? And then if you have other expenses that I did not mention, like childcare and things of that nature, which you probably didn't engage in this month, then you'll put that there. And we will see if you actually had any income. Because remember, y'all, income is not what you get paid from your job. That is your salary, and your salary is your revenues. Income is revenues minus expenses, okay? In a business, income is revenues minus expenses. So your salary is just your revenues, and then you have your living expenses. What's left over at the end of the month, that's your actual income, not what you got paid from your employer, right? So we want to be very clear about that, is that some people are working really hard and actually have no income because their living expenses take away all of their revenues. This is why some of you really feel like you are in the rat race and on the hamster wheel, is because your living expenses have increased with your salary, because you thought a salary was your income. No, I wish your salary was your income. I really wish your salary was your income. I wish you were all taking home, like Catherine, 80, divide 80 by 12. She's taking home what? About $8,000, $8,000 a month. I wish that was her income, okay? But it's not. That's just her revenues. Then she has all of her living expenses, right? And from those living expenses, after those living expenses, she has some income. Two people with the same salary, $80,000, one could be living off of 40, the other one could be living off of 70. Who is more financially free? The person who's living off of 40. They have the same salary that other people and the IRS calls income, so that they can tax you on it, because a business only gets taxed on their income. Employees get taxed on their revenues. The Internal Revenue Service, they are coming after your revenues for the average American. But when it comes to businesses, they only come after the business's income. If they came after my business's revenues, I wouldn't be in business. They would take everything. Fortunately, I have all kinds of write-offs and deductions and expenses that I can put up against that revenue, and they only charge me tax based on the income. All right? So you got to understand the game. All right? Yes, depreciation, Andrea. Depreciation is my friend. All right? So I'm giving people time to at least do the asset portion of their balance sheet. At least do the asset portion. Open up your checking account, your savings account, your stocks, etc. I at least want people to know the asset portion. And after we get off, if you have time, if you have an extra 15 minutes, I encourage you to finish out the rest of the spreadsheet. Okay. I wish there was another way for us to do this as a collective. I know some of you got all those passwords and logins organized in one place. Some of you are scattered. And for those of you who are scattered, it's probably your money is scattered too. And we want to be mindful of our money, not worried about our money, but we want to be mindful of our money. All right. Tasigi says, I'm lost. I've never used this before. A lot of people are using this for the first time. Okay. So if you go to thefinancialchurch.com, you can go to an old replay. This replay will be up tomorrow, but you can go to an old replay of our monthly accounting, and you can watch that and pause it as you go so that you can fully comprehend. Okay. This is just a monthly ritual that we do as part of this spiritual practice of being good stewards of the economic resource that we're blessed with every single month. All right. All right, cool. So with that, we're going to move forward and we're going to wrap up for today. And all right. Excuse me. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to close out by answering these 4 questions, and I need everybody to get paper, or actually you can type it in the chat. But the question that we use to bring down this teaching, bring down heaven down to earth, is what is this month's goal? How I'm going to decrease expenses by so much by doing this. So let's say your grocery expense went up this month. Okay, how are you going to decrease? How much are you going to decrease your grocery expense by this month, and how are you going to do that? Right? Perhaps this month you had a lot of waste. Perhaps this month you didn't buy in bulk. Perhaps this month you ordered out too many times. Okay, so in chat, let me know, how are you going to decrease your expenses this month? How are you going to decrease your expenses this month? A lot of people recognize with coronavirus that they were just spending money unnecessarily, right? So I see cook more, eating out of my pantry and buying more staple foods. I'm going to cut off my cable. My kids and I don't watch it anyways. Grocery shop for necessity only. Great. Okay. And meal plan. So next question is, how are you going to increase your revenues this month? How are you going to increase your revenue? Somebody said I'm going to teach an online course. I'm going to invest in stocks. I'm going to start a side hustle. I'm going to invest. Wholesale. And start a new job. Beautiful. Okay. And then how are you going to decrease your liabilities this month? Some of you have some high interest. Now we don't rush to pay off debt. We know the difference between good debt and bad debt. But if you have high interest credit cards, how are you going to decrease those liabilities this month? How are you going to decrease those liabilities this month? Craig is going to pay off a high interest credit card. Nicole says, what's going on, Nicole? After I pay myself, commit to paying down the balance on cards, pay off a Title Max loan. So a lot of you are going to be paying off bad debts with high interest, or at least allocate more money to them. Great. And then how are you going to increase your assets this month? How are you going to increase your assets this month? Increasing assets. Easy way is to buy stock, but I want you to be educated. Don't just buy stock because people are like, oh, you should be buying stock. No. Some of you need to invest in self-education. Some of you are in position to buy a multifamily property. How are we going to increase your assets? Anybody buying some stock? Dividends, multifamily property, buy more investments, join Robinhood. Good. Auto stock investment, beautiful, using like Acorn or something. Market my business more, join Robinhood. Good, good, good. All right. So we are going to end with our closing affirmation to affirm the journey that we're all on. And when we say millionaire, we're not just talking financial. While I desire and hope that all of you become millionaires financially, because as above, so below. We know that wealth comes in many different forms, okay? And the goal is to have $1 million stacked in an account. The goal is to increase our giving. That's the goal, y'all, is to increase our giving. And $1 million in a bank account is just a symbol. It's just a symbol of our ability to receive, and hopefully we will earn that because of our ability to give. The reason abundance continues to flow so easily into my life is because I give so much. Because I give so much. Not because I've hoarded money and because I've been a Scrooge and I've been cutting coupons. That's not how money flows to me, okay? It keeps coming down from on high because, to me and through me, because of how I use it. I am always seeking to take these dead presidents and resurrect them, literally giving cash consciousness. For those of you who aren't aware, what we're here to do is we're here to give cash consciousness. Cash is dead presidents. These are dead presidents on here, okay? They're dead. And when we give cash consciousness, we resurrect them, and we are now channeling that, giving them consciousness by putting them towards ideals, ideas, individuals, and institutions that we believe in, okay? Sitting in your bank account, they're dead. They're doing nothing. Money is useless until you use it. So we give cash consciousness, all right? So here's our affirmation that we use for this particular teaching. And it is, I am a millionaire. So I want you to say this with me, okay? 1, 2, 3. I am already a millionaire in my mind. I may not see it yet, but I believe it now. In the same way a seed is called by its finished form, I am accepting my divine inheritance as a child of God. I am meant to have life and have it more abundantly. My treasure on earth shall correspond directly to the treasure in the heaven of my mind. Abundance is my birthright. Ashe, amen, and so it is. I'll repeat it one more time. I am already a millionaire in my mind. I may not see it yet, but I believe it now. In the same way a seed is called by its finished form, I am accepting my divine inheritance as a child of God. I'm meant to have life and have it more abundantly. My treasure on earth shall correspond directly to the treasure in the heaven of my mind. Abundance is my birthright. Ashe, amen, and so it is. All right? So for those of you who are new, we recognize here that when you go to Home Depot or Lowe's to buy seeds, the package usually does not say seed on it. It says the finished form of what's actually inside. And so when we look at you, we recognize you as a millionaire already, as your finished form, not what things look like, not what your conditions and circumstances look like right now. We look at you in your finished form, and we accept that as true now, that you are becoming everything, all that, and more. All right? So with this, we close out our service and giving. And before you run out, for those of you who are new, we give different here, okay? We give different here. This is not for a building fund. It is not to lace my pockets or pay for my car. I don't take any money from this work. I actually love doing this work because I have enough abundance in the other areas of my life. Here, I'm 100% able to give freely. I'm 100% able to give freely, and that's what I love about this space. So how we give here is we pour into a bucket called the Faith Fund, and our Faith Fund, our current account balance is $2,148, and that is from everybody who has contributed here. And what we do is we give away $400 per week from the Faith Fund to either an individual who is in immediate need in this community right now on the spot, like right here, or to a nonprofit that we believe in. Okay, we channel money towards ideals, ideas, individuals, or institutions that we believe in. And so I'll show you the account balance right now. Nicole, I would love to give to some of the initiatives in Indianapolis. We are already given to a defense fund for last week for people who get arrested to help them get out. So if we want to give more to what's going on in Minneapolis and across the country, we can. So let me share my screen with you all so you can see our actual account balance. We operate by 100% transparency here. So I'm going to share this with you for those of you who are new. This is our actual account balance. Okay. You can see we started collectively on 4/12. We've given all these green boxes are where we've given, and right now our account balance is $2,148. And so the way to give, last week we gave to, we also gave to Real Manhood 101 conference. This is a conference committed to helping young men step into their manhood. It's organized by a good friend of mine named Dwight Taylor. This is how it looked when they were in person. The conference is now going virtual this year. So we contributed $200 to that organization last week. Okay. So let me go back and let me close out by asking, is there anyone in our community right now? Is there anyone in this community right now who is in economic need? Anyone in this community is in economic need? Somebody who needs a light bill paid, who needs gas to go back to work, who needs an MTA card, who needs food. What I'll invite you to do is come on live. You don't have to come on camera, just audio. And you do not have to answer anything or give any shame story whatsoever. This is not about guilt tripping. This is not about thinking about the past. Obviously, you're here and spending your time with us to develop your wealth consciousness. We know that the life that you have today is a manifestation of old seeds that you planted in the past, and it is not a reflection of who you actually are today and who you're becoming. And so if there's anybody here who's in need, you can raise your hand, and we happy to pour into your life. We believe in the skill set of receiving, and there's times in our lives where we have to be vulnerable and to receive. And so if there's anybody who needs injection, a stimulus of money poured into their life this week, please let me know. All right. No, Michelle, we don't do twice. We don't. Well, eventually we could do twice, but not so soon, sister. Is there anybody here who? Oh, and if you'd like to give, the Cash App is Julian Gordon, and the Venmo is at Julian Gordon, and the PayPal is PayPal me / Julian Gordon. This is how we believe churches should give. When you give at church, we don't know where that money goes, but the pastor rolls up in a nice foreign car. Right? We don't operate like that. Yes, churches have overheads, but we believe that money should be deployed, employed, and deployed immediately back to the community, which the organization is supposed to support. So I'm not blaming them. They can do whatever they do. Here's how we operate. We believe this is how we should give. So this is how we operate. Okay. And I see Michael and Frenchie. I'm in agreement with that once a year a gift to an individual is I like that standard. Oh yeah, we don't do building funds here. There ain't no building. We're using Zoom. Okay. Even I pay for the Zoom out of my pocket. Okay. So that's not how we operate. All right. So again, the Cash App is Julian Gordon, Jullien, Gordon, Gordon. We are actually, I'm going to change this. We started out giving 300 a week, but we were receiving so much from everybody. We wanted to give more. So a couple weeks ago, we changed it to 400 a week. All right. Bev, Zelle goes to my personal account, and I don't want this money to get mixed up. So if you can Cash App or Venmo or PayPal, that would be helpful. Okay, somebody, Kashia says she needs help. All right, Kashia. Kashia, let me see. Kashia, how do I spell that? It's K-E-S. K-E-S, allow to talk. Kashia, unmute. Kashia, how are you, sister?
Hi, I'm fine. Can you hear me? Oh.
You there?
Hello? Oh, can you hear me?
You should see a microphone in the lower left-hand corner.
Oh, hello.
Kashia, are you there?
Yes, it's Keisha. It's just spelled different.
Kashia, you there?
Can you hear me?
Oh, you hear her? Let me check my microphone. I don't hear her. My audio. There we go. Say something. There we go. I can hear you. You there? Ah. Sister, you there? Dang. She said she's having problems from her phone. Kashia, in chat, can you let us know, first and foremost, how many times have you been at the financial church? I muted her. She said, this is my first time. Okay. And Kashia, what was your greatest takeaway or insight from today's service? She's typing it in chat now, y'all. And I'm going to have Velma. All right. Unfortunately, her audio is not working. Okay, she said, my old seeds are the reason why I'm here and where I am financially. And Kashia, what is it that you need exactly at this moment in time? How much money? We don't do like $100. We need the exact number that you need for a utility bill, for gas, MetroCard. She said, I must plant new thoughts. Agreed. Normally, we only give to people who have been here several times, but Kashia, we're willing to make an exception. What exactly do you need at this moment in your life to get you over the hump? Okay, 330 for a car note. All right. Is that the exact number for the car note? All right. So Kashia, we with numbers that are that great, we would be happy to contribute $165 towards your car note this month. What you'll have to do is you'll have to email me at support at thefreedomschool.com and email the car note amount and your Cash App or Venmo. So I just put that in chat. So Kashia, again, it's going to be support at thefreedomschool.com. And you're going to email me the car note and your Cash App or Venmo. It'll be, I need to see the car note, and it'll be Cash App or Venmo, and we will do 165, which is half of the car note for this upcoming month. Kashia, what do you use your car to do? How far do you have to travel? How far do you have to travel, sister? All right. She travels with her daughter. How old's your daughter? 4. Beautiful. I have a 5-year-old. And how did you find us, Kashia? How did you find us? How did you find us? On Instagram. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we here at the Financial Church, we know that these algorithms are seeking to restrict reach, but we don't focus on Instagram's algorithms. All we focus on is God's reach. And we know that God is leading this ministry to the people and places that need to hear it. And we are so grateful for Kashia and her 4-year-old daughter being open to receive today the $165 contribution, which is dead presidents, stored energy that we are now channeling towards that family so that she can continue to be a great mother and continue to get to and from work. So Kashia, we bless you with this offering, and we are so grateful for your demonstration of being willing to receive here today. Thank you for showing up and for being in alignment. You could have scrolled right past this and chose to do something else today, but you showed up here, and we are grateful for you, and we bless you. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find another nonprofit that is doing work in Minneapolis, and we'll contribute to them. I've seen a couple come up in my feed, so I'll do the other 235 towards a nonprofit. I'm going to go research them right now as soon as we get off. And I just want to thank, let me see, my Cash App. I can't get to my Cash App without cutting off the Instagram folks. So I want to thank everybody who contributed. What are you all observing? Are you all observing what is happening with our faith fund? Are you all observing what's happening with our faith fund? Can you see what's happening and how we're actually demonstrating these exact same principles that we're learning together? Where'd it go? I want to show you. Share. Chat. Yes. So what you'll see with our faith fund is that every time we give, the faith fund grows. So look, last week we ended up at 2148. It was 2148. The week before that, it was 15. It was 1918, and yet we gave $400. The week before that, it was 2013. The week before that, it was 1678. So every time we give, God pours in and supplies more. Every time we give, God pours in and supplies more. Every time we give, God pours in and supplies more. We are actually demonstrating right now how true wealth is created, while at the same time being able to reap some of the financial abundance. When we pour out, we get more poured into us. This is the trick. I don't even want to call it a trick because it's not something that you have to manipulate. When you give and then you turn to receive, you receive more than you gave. So if I give 4 and I return to receive, and now I receive 5. Then I give 5, I return to receive, and I get 6. I give 6, I turn to receive, and I get 7. I give 7, I return to receive, and now I get 8. Are you seeing what is occurring? We are demonstrating this and doing this collectively. You know, when I come to this part, because of how people have dealt with offerings in past churches, I don't push hard here. We know that giving is a spiritual practice. I don't push hard. This is naturally happening, y'all. This is naturally happening. We are demonstrating this collectively together without any real push. This is universal law at work, okay? So this same principle, because it is law, just like gravity, if it applies to all of us on one single airplane, then guess what? It applies to you as an individual as well, okay? So you give, and the best way that you know how, you give this energy to ideals, ideas, individuals, and institutions that are going to have a greater yield. You turn back to God. You open yourself to receiving now that you've given so you can be replenished, right? Your cup runneth over. Why? Because you've been giving more than you had before, and then you give again. This is why wealth comes to me and through me. A lot of people want wealth to come to them, and they just want to stop it right there, okay? No, wealth comes to me and then through me. It comes to me and then through me. It comes to me, and then it comes through me, right? We have to give and receive, give and receive. It is cyclical, y'all. And we are a living example of that as a collective with the hundreds of us that have been here over the past since the beginning, okay? So let's continue to demonstrate. Let's continue to prove to ourselves that what we're actually talking about is manifesting, that it actually works. And then let's continue to use the principles in our own individual lives for the collective greater good. All right. With that, I want to say that I appreciate you. I love y'all. Keep breathing. For those of you in the multifamily movement, I will see you in a couple hours. I'm gonna go take a nap and go get some food. And I wish you all a great week ahead. Keep breathing, y'all. Just keep breathing. You can breathe. You can breathe. And even if you can't, it means you've gone right to the right side of your mother, father, God. All right? Peace, y'all.